Today, Cities of Migration presents Closing the Gap, City Leadership on Employment and Workforce Diversity. This season, Cities of Migration is putting a spotlight on what we call good ideas from successful cities. We want to know more about what municipal leadership on immigrant integration looks like and what local authorities are doing to accelerate the settlement and integration of newcomers to create open, inclusive cities. We'd like to know what your city is doing to make the most of the human and economic capital that immigration represents. In the next hour, we'll learn how city governments in Copenhagen and Hamburg have built strong campaigns and delivered results on a commitment to increase workforce diversity in their cities. Today, we're delighted to have with us to share their expertise and city success from Denmark, Anna May Allersev, Mayor of Integration and Employment with the City of Copenhagen, and from Germany, Stefan Müller, Project Manager of the We Are Hamburg, Won't You Join Us campaign from the City of Hamburg. Both these cities have participated in an important study by the Open Society Foundation's At Home in Europe project. So it is with pleasure that we recognize Open Society Foundations as today's co-host. And I am especially pleased to introduce you to Nazia Hussain, the director of the At Home in Europe project, who joins us today from London. Nazia, welcome to Cities of Migration.
Thank you very much, Kim. It's a privilege to be part of this webinar today, and I'd like to thank Cities of Migration for this opportunity, but also to all the participants who are taking part in this discussion today. I'd like to begin just by talking a little bit about what we do as an organization and then the importance of what we're about to hear today. The Open Society Foundations is an organization that works to build vibrant and tolerant societies whose governments are accountable to their citizens. We work with local communities in more than 70 countries, and we support rule of law and human rights, including justice, education, public health, and freedom of expression. The At Home in Europe project is a program of the Open Society Foundations. Through research and advocacy, we work to advance the social inclusion of vulnerable communities in a changing Europe by exploring the political, the social, the cultural, and the economic participation of minority and other marginalized groups in Western Europe. This is done through engagement with residents, with civil society, policymakers, and city authorities. The role of the city is crucial in responding to the urban challenges in Europe today, including the changing demographics, the diverse communities, the multiplicity of identities, and the impact of rapid change on governance structures and institutions. They are integral in creating or reframing narratives and debates on the impact and reality of diversity and inequality in their environments. As a program, we work to identify issues that residents in Europe's urban spaces share as common concerns, regardless of their ethnic or religious background, and where they differ, a better understanding of these differences and how they can be overcome. Through strategic policy reports and advocacy activities, we examine how the city engages with and consults its residents across a range of issues. Since 2007, we have focused part of our work on Muslim integration and have released a number of reports under the series titled Muslim in EU Cities. These reports focus on participation and citizenship, the role and impact of the media, education, employment, housing, health, and the criminal justice system. They offer the direct voices of residents from different communities and recommendations for improving living conditions and opportunities. A key aim of our work is to extract models of good practices regarding social inclusion that can be promoted to policymakers, civil society, and communities in European cities and beyond. Participation in the labour market remains at the heart of economic integration, which in turn is a powerful driver of social integration. It requires not only opportunities for employment, but employment in the mainstream, rather than a segmented or segregated labour market, and in jobs that are commensurate with an individual's skills and qualifications. It can be measured in various ways, including economic activity rates, employment, unemployment rates. There are a range of different explanations available for the difference in labour market participation of different groups. These include social capital, education and skills. A significant player and employer in terms of economic and social integration is a city authority. They are crucial in creating and implementing key local policy targets, including cohesion and employment. They can create initiatives which target barriers to participation and ensure that their workforce reflects the full diversity of their local population. With this in mind, we have two very good examples of local authorities today who are pursuing policies and campaigns which recognise the diversity of its residents, its benefits, and utilisation of the variety of skills that make up a resilient and inclusive city. In June 2010 and March 2011, we released reports on Copenhagen and Hamburg, in which city authority efforts in workforce diversity are featured. So therefore, I am extremely pleased that Annemie Allerslev and Stefan Müller are able to join us today, and I look forward to hearing about their efforts in developing effective measures which not only create opportunities, but bring a city and its communities together. Thank you.
Thank you, Nazia. Thank you for that, and we really truly are delighted to have Open Society Foundations joining us today and providing that excellent introduction to our speakers. Now I'd like to invite you to join me in welcoming our first speaker from the city of Copenhagen. We welcome Annemie Allerslev, the Mayor of Employment and Integration, to share success from that city's first diversity charter. Hello, Annemie. Welcome to the Learning Exchange.
Hello, thank you. Let me introduce myself. My name is Annemie Allerslev, and I am the Mayor for Employment and Integration in Copenhagen, as you just said. I want to thank Cities of Migration and Open Society Foundation for inviting me to speak to you. And then I will cut directly to the chase, explaining how Copenhagen has engaged the corporate sector in our inclusion efforts. Copenhagen is the capital of Denmark, with almost 550,000 Copenhageners living in the city. More than 1 in 5 have an ethnic minority background, and about 1 in 7 has a non-Western country of origin. Copenhagen plays a key role in the Danish immigration debate. Unfortunately, the debate has had a negative angle for some time now. Most of you will remember the cartoon crisis, our border control, and a very negative attitude towards especially Danish Muslims. This is the national climate that we operate in. It was important for us to start a difference to the national debate climate. It should be easier to become a Copenhagener than to become a Dane. Now we have a new government, but the mindset will not change in a glimpse. We need to actively change it together. Language is important. Languages create reality. Therefore, with the input of several Copenhageners, we made a shift from integration to inclusion and diversity, from immigrants to and descendants to ethnic minorities, from ghetto to vulnerable housing areas. But it was not all words. This new strategy meant a new layer on top of the traditional structural integration work. It meant that we opened up for issues of belonging and identity, and we opened up for companies and civil society to join in our movement. In Copenhagen, as the rest of the world, we have had a movement towards a green and climate-friendly capital, the Green Movement. I think Copenhagen is now ready for a diversity movement. Just like the Green Movement, the diversity movement is being led by inspiring front figures who will bring the ordinary Copenhageners with them. Just like the Green Movement, the diversity movement has a severe impact on our growth and quality of life. And just like this, there is no reasonable alternative to green energy. There is no reasonable alternative to growth through diversity. I think that together we can make this happen. One of our actions was to set up a diversity board at executive level. Board members count, for example, CEOs from great companies such as Microsoft, Copenhagen Airports, and Confederation of Danish Industry, The board also counts cultural frontrunners such as novelists, singers and debaters, and important public institutions such as Danish Institution for Human Rights. They are our inspiring front figures. Together with us, they have started the wave. And it was actually very easy to get them to join. They said, yes, finally. We have been waiting for something like this. The figures were clear. 84% of Danish companies consider diversity important for their business. 51 said diversity drives innovation, and diverse teams produce 3.7% more than teams that are not diverse. So the picture was clear. Diversity equals growth in the mind of our companies. One of the board's tasks was to change media debate, because the fact that diversity equals growth was not widely acknowledged yet. Here is just a handful of headlines reading: diversity is sexy, new networks want to open up Denmark, difference is welcome, bubbling with diversity, and in English, reality is diverse, the policy is intercultural. These headlines are joint ventures between the city and the corporate sector. They are some of the results of our work. They create a better environment for minorities and at the same time brand our partner corporations. The board members signed our diversity charter. By signing the charter, they promised to make diversity a strength in their own organization and in the public debate. And they promised to fight discrimination and promote equal rights for all in their own organizations. Next step was to make it possible for all companies and organizations to sign the charter. Our goal was to get 100 corporations to sign our charter in 2011. And actually, I just got the new numbers, and the status is that 100 companies and organizations have signed, and more are coming. We have already reached the goal. Our other goal was for 4 Copenhagen institutions to implement diversity initiatives. We have already reached this goal by November. Just a short slide to make a short point. We, of course, do this for the benefit of the Copenhageners. They are our primary concern. But our means are the companies and organizations. I would like to wrap it all up with a few lessons learned. First of all, companies are eager to get involved but need help. So our role was to make it attractive and easy to join forces. Second of all, together we are strong. The board gives us invaluable support in promoting a positive inclusion agenda. We do not stand alone anymore. And finally, there are no limits to what you can do if you do not take the credit yourself. Let the companies and organizations be the stars. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna-May, for that excellent presentation, for invaluable lessons and really a great model, but mostly congratulations for meeting those targets. That's a really impressive achievement that tells us all how much can get done once you put your mind and heart behind things, and obviously an extraordinary organizational machine to boot. Thank you very much. So now we shift to the city of Hamburg. And I'd like to introduce you to Stefan Müller, who is the project manager with We Are Hamburg. Won't you join us? We Are Hamburg is a smart marketing campaign that recruits diversity into local government while promoting inclusion across the city. Welcome, Stefan. The podium is yours.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to my presentation about our Hamburg campaign. We Are Hamburg, won't you join us? And I'm happy to share our experience with you. My name is Stefan Müller, and I'm the project leader of this campaign, and I work for the Senate of the Free and Hanseatic City of Hamburg, Personal Department, Center for Training and Personal Development. First of all, I would like to give you a statistical overview about Hamburg. Hamburg is very much in the north of Germany and is the second largest city of Germany, with 1.78 million residents in Hamburg, and in the metropolitan region 4.3 million people. The proportion of non-Germans in Hamburg is 13.6%, and in Hamburg we have 515,000 inhabitants. with migrant backgrounds, which is about 30%. And in the age group of 6 to 18, this is even 46%, so nearly every second young person. In the free and Hanseatic city of Hamburg, we employ more than 70,000 people, with some 600 new trainees every year. The proportion of our trainees with migrant backgrounds in 2006, so 5 years ago, was just 5.2%. And the proportion of our employees, we know this from the year 2008, we did a great survey on this, with migrant background was just 8.9%. In this regard, the Senate decided on a huge umbrella campaign entitled We Are Hamburg, Won't You Join Us? The project started on the 31st of October 2006, and the objective is to recruit and to integrate young people of migrant origin into the Hamburg public administration training programs, which is general administration, tax administration, police, fire brigade, and justice. And the goal is to achieve a measurable increase in the proportion of trainees with a target value of 20% by the year 2011. And in this year, we had a new election, and the new Senate has decided to continue the intercultural opening of our administration. So we will continue our campaign of 2012 in the following years, and I'm very happy about this. Now I'd like to tell you something about the main activities of our campaign. First, we're presenting this in the media and in the public with a lot of things that we're doing. For example, we have a homepage, of course, a website and the internet. We are on events, fairs, do a lot of advertising. We have information available in all client service areas of the ministries and departments. We have special advertising in underground trains for 3 years now. We're participating on sport events like dragon boat racing, using different giveaways for this campaign to give to the young people when we go to fairs and so on. We are cooperating with schools on the field of vocational orientation. We are on a lot of school events, motivation workshops, give special information to teachers, have a wide offering of school internships. We give information to parents as well. We have special parent leaflets in foreign languages. We cooperate with associations and a lot of multipliers, also training institutions and especially migrant organizations. What else do? We introduced culturally open elements into our selection procedures. So now we are assessing intercultural competencies by using intercultural knowledge questions in our tests, and also case studies for the young people who want to step into our training programs to solve intercultural conflict situations. And also we are applying culture fair intelligence tests to measure deductive thinking, not by language, but by figures. Then we extended intercultural trainings on our workforce to enlarge intercultural skills, for example, for people responsible for training, for personnel, and also for the client services, and then also for the management, of course. We're networking on various conferences and congresses, regional, national, and I'm happy with this here now today, and also international. You may know, of course, the European Urban Knowledge Network, for example, or CESI, which is the European Union of Trade Organizations, of independent trade and labor unions representing the interests of employees. We are cooperating with other towns in Germany like Berlin, Munich, Duisburg, Bremen, Cologne, who are also very active on this field. And what is the purpose, what is the challenge of this campaign? First, it is equal participation. We want to create a mirror image of society, which is to reflect the cultural diversity in our workforce. We feel a special social responsibility to better integrate young people with migrant backgrounds into the education of the public service. Second, we want to improve our public services. We understand intercultural competence is of a high value when dealing with clients because of multilingualism, because of experience of other cultures. It can help to promote the diversity of perspectives and is a good basis for raising creativity and innovation. And third is the demographic aspect. The intercultural opening is economically mandatory with a view to the predicted decline of birth rates in Germany, decline of population, and therefore also a lack of professionals. So it's also economically mandatory. The result of this campaign is we tripled the proportion of trainees with migrant backgrounds in Hamburg public administration during the project period, with a significant increase from 5.2% in 2006 when we started, via 10.9%, as you can see on this graphic, 12.4%, 14.7%, and in the last year 15%, so we tripled this result, which means nearly 100 trainees of the 600 I told you before have a migrant background from the trainees of the last year. And in this year we're expecting a further increase. We will know that definitely in 2 or 3 weeks. So I cannot tell you now, but it will be more than 15% in this year. And it goes slowly on. And we hope, we're sure we will get to this 20%. What are the innovative elements of the concept? We set a measurable target, 20%. This is something very new, and in Germany not every town does this. Something special about Hamburg, 20%. A measurable target with a special focus on training programs for occupations that lead into a lifetime employment. I think this is something special for Germany too. A lifetime employment, you may know the word Beamte, this is the officials in Germany, but it also holds for the salaried employees. This is also employment which has no limit, so it's a special focus on these training programs. We're carrying out joint activities by all ministries. Also, this is also new, and in the last years, and we started an intensive cooperation, for example, with migrant organizations, with other cities. We're networking a lot. We developed information brochures, also in foreign languages, to reach the parents, use the foreign language media as well. We introduced culturally open elements into our selection procedures, and finally, and this is very important for us, we're involving our trainees with migrant backgrounds in whatever we do as role models in our activities. So events, all events that we're going to, school events, motivation workshops, they are with us. This is very authentic. And what is the experience so far? What are the success factors, or what may be learning takeaway for you? We think is to recognize the importance of networking as a crucial element, to cooperate with migrant organizations especially, also with schools, also with teachers and parents, and also with other cities. Then what else is to open up the application process and to pay more attention to cultural competencies as part of the occupational aptitude. To have people work, I think this is very important, to have people work for the project with great commitment, with passion, to get support from the political leadership, from all levels of management, to take care for an annual monitoring. Achievement, we think, must be controlled and must be measurable, must be controlled, and let your own staff coordinate a city project like this. We're believing in this, to have a high identification of the workforce with the mission and the objectives, and it can also save time and costs. And finally, to recognize that intercultural opening can only be achieved gradually. It takes effort over a long period of time, and it's a precondition to ensure success for the future. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm very happy to have so many interesting listeners, and if you have any questions, feel free. This is why I'm here. And after this webinar, feel free to contact me, of course, if you have any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stefan, for that excellent presentation, and congratulations to you for again, some incredibly impressive numbers, tripling the number of young trainees that the city has brought into its programs to increase the levels of diversity in city government. These are tremendous figures and tremendous ways of benchmarking and demonstrating progress on these projects. We've now concluded the formal part of our webinar. It's time for our question and answer period. So I'm going to invite all of our audience members to submit questions to the Q&A box that we introduced you to at the beginning of the session. And while we begin the Q&A with some questions that I have here before me, the first question that I'd like to put to our guests, and Nadia will include you in this session. I'd like to ask you to comment on the important role that cities have in promoting access to employment for all groups. I mean, we hear a lot about efforts made around economic integration across our sectors. I think that we don't hear enough about the particular role of cities in this area. So this is an important topic, and I'd like to invite you, Anna May, perhaps to start this session with an answer to that question. How important is the role of cities in promoting access to employment for all groups?
It's very important. I think that it is almost our biggest task to provide that opportunity to all the citizens, and especially the one with a different background, because they have certain specific problems. And the way that we are doing it in Copenhagen is that we are trying to make as much as an individual we try to make individual initiatives, and for example we have I don't know, sorry, the English word is what the English word is, but we are trying to be where the citizens are. So, for example, if they are living in certain buildings or in certain areas, we are present there. Instead of they have to come to us, we will come to them and help them where they live, because we can see that that is a good way to do it.
So, a proactive approach.
We are very proactive, and we also combine our integration policies with our employment politics. For example, we are very proactive also with the education in Danish.
Very good. And for you, Stefan, how would you like to comment on how important the role of cities is in promoting access to employment for all groups in?
Yes, Kim, I think this is, I agree on that, what Anami says, and we should consider ourselves, public administration, the government with its ministries, as a role model, as a promoter also in the field of employment. Sending what we do, we send out important signals to the people, to the market, to the employers, and to encourage them maybe to do the same and to feel that this is an additional value. And we want to reflect cultural diversity in our workforce, and we show this, and we also feel a special social responsibility to do this. So I think the cities have a very important role on that.
Thank you. And Nadia, with your, maybe you'd like to comment too on the particular approach that At Home in Europe took with its focus on 11 cities, and not only the situation in those cities, but the particular role that cities play in this area.
We, as an organisation, we decided to focus very much on the city, because the city is actually now the space in which changes can be brought about. It's where the pragmatic sort of reality of implementing policies, be they localised policies or national policies, are actually realised. So our work really looks at how are things actually done, as opposed to what the narrative or the debate may be it on cohesion or integration. So for us, the city plays a very, very crucial, if not the most important role. They're the ones that actually understand their communities. They know who the communities are, but also what the nuances and sensitivities of different communities are. So in terms of the role that they play, it's also about the leadership that they show, both social, political, economic. But it's also the sort of understanding that they bring to not just issues of employment, but across the board as well. So they know what's happening in education, they know what's happening in the housing areas. So education and employment are two key areas as far as we're concerned when it comes to real vital sort of areas which do promote social inclusion. So I think the city plays a very, very important role, more so in terms of political leadership on issues that may be very difficult to take forward, but also to identifying what the barriers are going to be for particular groups and individuals in terms of accessing employment and various other different issues that are present between and in amongst the communities.
Thank you. Nazia, you mentioned the barriers that exist. These challenges, there are, and there continue to be meaningful challenges to employment in our cities. So let's ask the cities of, let's ask Anna-May and Stefan both what some of those challenges have been for them, how they've overcome some of those challenges, and whether there are particular groups that require more strategic intervention or attention than others. And maybe we'll start again with Anna-May.
Of course, there is a lot of differences. I mean, our citizens with another background than Danish are very different, and we try to make as individual an effort as we can. For example, we have a welcoming program to our expats, where Copenhageners voluntarily help them. They are hosts for them, and that, I think that is a kind of help that will help that kind of group. But that will not be enough if we look at some of our more, some of our other groups. If we look at the women from some of the groups that have certain difficulties, then we have a program where other women helps them. So they go out, knock on the door, and they offer them to be a coach and help them with their contact to the municipalities. So that is two examples of how we use how we use Copenhageners to help us, because we can see that that is very important.
And for you, Stefan?
Yeah, for us, when we started this project, this campaign, we from the beginning on, we took into account that there is one big barrier, or there's a barrier that is target group. Young people with migrant background often does not know, and we know this from service, and for example, that this target group often does not know about the possibility to work for the state, that there is a possibility to have a special training program, and sometimes they may feel a distance as well, and sometimes the parents also may not know about us, that there is a training program. We pay our trainees, they get a salary, and sometimes there may be a bad experience also. The parents may have a bad experiences with the public sector in their origin countries, maybe also they're influencing their kids, of course, as well. And it's very important for us to communicate that these young people means talents for us. They bring additional chances, and additional value, and this is the challenge. When we go out and communicate, we tell them we need them. They are young, talented people. They have additional skills, and they do not have deficits. They have additional skills, and this is why we need them. And this is a very important message we give to these young people with migrant backgrounds. Intercultural opening is of a high value. And the other part of the question was the special groups that we're addressing is the parents. I would like to point out that the parents, for us, are very important as advisors for their kids. We try to reach them also in foreign languages, and parents are very important also to have a good opinion about us as a public service, and to realize that we offer attractive possibilities for the young people to step into a career at free and Hanseatic city of Hamburg.
Thank you, Stefan. Yes, those positive messages are incredibly important, especially for young people, but for all of us, I think. And the model that city leadership offers on that is tremendously important. We know that city administrations are some of the largest employers in any city. I believe in Copenhagen that you are, in fact, the largest employer in the country of Denmark. So especially true for you, they play an important role in creating an environment of inclusion, but also in setting the standard for addressing and combating discrimination in any form. So our next question is how do you ensure that discrimination in the public sector is addressed in your particular cities? And again, let's go to you, Stefan, this time.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Kim. I agree. By the way, I agree. This message is important for everyone, but of course we're looking for young people, so we're addressing with this message to the young people. But it's important for everyone. Yeah, how do we address discrimination is very, very important to send out signals that we do not want discrimination. I would like to answer this from my perspective, or from our perspective as a public employer. On the one side, we have, on the one hand, we have different laws focusing on the importance of non-discrimination, or how important equal treatment is. First of all, the basic constitutional law of the Federal Republic of Germany. There are other laws, for example, also for access to employment, like the general law to equal treatment, which also holds for the private sector, for the public sector and for the private sector. And it says everyone has the right to be treated equally, independent from origin, religion, sex. And we do not want, we are not allowed, we do not want and we are not allowed to disadvantage anybody. So we have special laws in the public service as well when it comes to employ officials, which means the same. And in our selection process is only allowed to employ and to select according to skills, job performance, qualification, occupational aptitude, and the question is, does someone meets the requirements of the job, nothing else. And the other side is that we offer a lot of trainings to the people who are working, who work in the field of personal departments, who are responsible for, say, yes or no, for employing people. And we have a lot of trainings for these people, for other people as well working for us, of course. This is trainings on these laws and also intercultural trainings to reflect their own role, their behavior, their think about their person, and with different exercises.
Thank you. And for you,
sorry, Kim, the third thing is, I think the government has a special responsibility to create an environment for an open society, tolerant and welcoming culture.
Thank you. No, and that last comment was very, very welcome. Anna-May, for you in the Engage Copenhagen campaign, how have you addressed the issue of discrimination?
Yeah, first of all, I totally agree with Stefan's last remark, because I think that it is a task for the government and it is a task for the municipality, because if we have discrimination, and it is just so damaging for a city, and it is a special task because discrimination is something that will have a very negative impact on the whole society. So I think it was a very important remark that Stefan just said in the end. Of course, also I agree with the other thing that he was saying, but what we are doing in Copenhagen is that we are actually focusing a lot on discrimination. For example, we have a project with the clubs in the nightlife, because we have seen that a lot of our young men are being discriminated in the nightlife, and that is very negative. That is a very negative experience for them. So we have actually a program and a project with the clubs. Of course, the clubs were not happy in the beginning, because we also wanted the Minister of Justice to look into our law on the area. We wanted them to look into the law to see if it was possible that we could prevent them from serving alcohol if they were caught in discrimination again and again. But now we actually have a very constructive project with the clubs, and I think that it will be a very good result that we will reach together. We also have a very good project with the police, because we experienced that there was a problem both in the police because they didn't have the knowledge, but also people were not telling the police about their experience with their discriminating experiences. So we put focus on discrimination and said that it was not acceptable in Copenhagen, and we have a big campaign, and we also put focus in that people need to tell the police. We also have a homepage in Copenhagen where people can go and register their experiences, their bad experiences, and we have that homepage because we need knowledge to make the right initiatives afterwards. And one important thing is that we are not doing this alone. As I said, we are working together with the police. We are now working together with the clubs, and we are also working together with the different organizations, the non-profit organizations in the area, and we couldn't do it alone.
Thank you. No, an integrated approach that crosses all sectors, that works horizontally, is incredibly important. And I must say, in our project, it's been our experience that police are a tremendous ally, and perhaps not appreciated enough, the tremendous role they play in this work. Now, we are going to turn now to questions from our larger audience, because they're rolling in. So we're going to try to get as many questions in as we can, and we have about 15 minutes left to take those questions. The first question comes from Dublin, Ireland, and is from Fidele Mutswarazibo, who asks specifically about what Copenhagen and Hamburg have done to get political leadership on board on these issues of diversity. So, Anna May, would you like to answer that question? What has, how did you get political leadership? How did you get?
I think that the environment, if you look at the national scene, was so bad that we wanted to take action. And we also have that advantage that Copenhagen has another climate than Denmark has. So there was a large minority that wanted to take action, and then we talked a lot about the issue. We talked a lot about what we could do. We had different workshops, and that was some of the initiatives that we were taking. But of course it was a hard job, and we put a lot of efforts in it. The municipality put a lot of efforts in it, but in the end it was a very good result, and now we have a whole new politics. As I said before, we were not calling it integration anymore, we call it inclusion and diversity, and I think that is a very important signal. We have a program, Engage in Copenhagen, as we were talking about, and that also sends a clear message, and the most important is that there's a lot of action behind. So I think the important thing is to set a positive agenda, to keep using the right words, even though the right words is not enough itself. So you also have to put focus and action behind.
And Stefan, for you in the city of Hamburg, how important was it getting the city mayor, the council leader, behind your efforts to increase diversity in the government?
Well, it was very natural. It was very easy, because in 2006 it started to become a real big topic, especially our campaign. And the first mayor of Hamburg at that time, and we had new election. The same holds for the new mayor as well. Understood this as a real big topic, which is very important. By the way, as I said, I think Hamburg is a very liberal and cosmopolitan city, and we have so many people living here. So we understood we had not enough young people with migrant backgrounds in our workforce, in our trainees, and it went along with an overall strategy of the Senate in 2006, which started to become this strategy in 2006, run by another Ministry of Work, Social Issues, Family and Integration. They have a big concept and they're going on with these things, which is very important, which is an overall strategy, beginning with young kids learning the language, and goes along with school education system, up to employment with a lot of programs, up to the seniors, make life worth living also for old people with migrant backgrounds. And finally, just some weeks ago, we had Hamburg Welcome Days, which was a big event in Hamburg, with the speech of the first mayor. These are activities to show also people come from other countries that Hamburg is looking for people settling down here, make life worth living, the flat situation, the living situation, and make this town is attractive, but it has to be communicated. So this is a development for a lot of years now.
That's very interesting, and I think messages that come from the voice of the city leadership are very, very powerful indeed. Our next question is practical, so we're looking for a couple of short tips that you can share with Joanne Kay, who writes, "Ours is a small city with high unemployment. The government is laying off staff. It's difficult to talk about diversity when so many people face high levels of unemployment. What do you recommend in such situations? How do you address those challenges?"
Sorry, can you ask me again?
Anime, Joanne Kay asks, what do you do to address the efforts to increase diversity when your city has high unemployment? And
Yeah, that is actually a very important question, because of course it is very important for the politician not to be naive. I think we have two tasks especially. We have one task that is to keep focusing on and insist on that diversity is a strength, and to keep having the positive tone, to keep insist on that we need to work together on this agenda. But as a second very important task is, of course, to not just talk about it, but to take action. And what we have done in Copenhagen is that, of course, we are focusing on inclusion, and we are focusing on all of the soft issues. But we are also very much focused on that we need to do all the traditional things, like having schools, kindergartens, and of course our employment initiatives that is focused on the problems that we have with some of our minorities groups. But we have also now made another strategic focus point that is to focus on that if we work together, we can make sure that diversity is causing growth, and that agenda I think can put together the negative voices from the left, from the right, and the very positive voices from the left, because we can see that we need to focus on diversity as a source to growth if we would like to have welfare for all of the Copenhageners in the future.
Thank you. And Stefan, do you have one or two very short tips for how to address the challenges that your program receives given high levels of unemployment in the current economic situation?
I think it's very important to show that that diversity, to increase diversity means what Anami also said, means growth, means additional chances and additional value for every organization. It may be also good for the products that organizations give to the people on the market. The product will be better. You can, in an economical sense. This is the one thing. And the other thing is, I think we all know that heterogeneous teams are more effective than homogeneous teams, or diverse teams more effective than non-diverse teams. And it's, I think it's very important to have people with migrant background, to have examples, and maybe also let happen personal contacts between the management and the staff, So to see what does that mean, to have people with talents, with experience of other cultures, is very, how you say, enriching, makes it richer, makes it better. Work together with people when people work together, come from different cultures.
Very good. Now we have a very different sort of question from Palermo Galindo, who works with the city of Fort Wayne, Indiana, in the United States, a sort of what we call a new gateway city. He, admiring your programs, asks what is the budget and funding sources for these initiatives. So perhaps each of you could repeat the size of the population in your city, so we have some sense of scale, and share with us some idea of the kind of resources that are required. Stefan, can you start?
Yes, Kim. In Hamburg, as I said, we have nearly 1.8 million residents, and we're working for these 1.8 million people, and we employ more than 70,000 people in the administration, police officers, teachers, and administration, and lots of other professions. And with these more than 70,000 people and some 600 new trainees every year, police, fire brigade, and so on, we have to do a lot of activities to reach these young people. Not only with this campaign, we have a lot of more activities as well to approach to these groups. So the budget that we need for this campaign is 100,000 euro every year for the whole campaign, working together in all ministries on this campaign. It's 100,000 euro every year, and it's only possible. This is a good budget. It's very good. It's okay because we are working on this. We have experts inside our organization, like experts on marketing, human resource, and other experts for selection procedures. We have experts on this campaign, and so we have experts inside the organization. So this is why it's possible to have to work with this budget.
And for you, Anna-May, very quickly, again on the size of Copenhagen and the kind of budget.
Yeah, we are actually a lot similar, not at the size, but how we're working with it. But we are 550,000 Copenhageners, and we have almost 45,000 employees in the municipality. And in my area, we have 1,750 employees. But we're actually working the same way as you heard before, because we are not using so much money on projects. We would like it to be a part of our normal things that we're doing for the citizens. Of course, we're doing some projects, as I told before, but they're not so expensive because we have a lot of the knowledge in-house, and I think that is the best way to do it.
Great. Now, I have a whole lot of questions that are coming in around training, specifically on training, and so I'm going to try to bundle a few of them together. Both Cecilia and Cheryl are interested in the kind of questions, the kind of intercultural questions that are asked during, Stefan, your training sessions, or in the, I guess, training of job candidates entering the public service. Can each of you give an example of the kind of intercultural questions that are used in your cities?
Actually, I am a little, if I understand the question right, I'm a little, not embarrassed, but we're not so much ahead in training ourselves, our staff, as we would like to be. We would like to be even better to have the right training to our employees in the municipality, and that is one of my focus points in the next years. We have in my own area, we are focusing on diversity and how to lead a diverse group. But we can be better. Some of the projects that we have made with an organization is that we have focused on how we can acknowledge that people are different in our services to them. And I think that the important thing is that we don't see it as another project, but we see it as a natural development in our services to the citizens. So we can actually, sometimes we can actually save money and do it better.
Very good. And Stefan, can you give us one example of an intercultural question or approach that you would use with your trainees?
Yes, there are a lot of them. We have intercultural trainings, as I said, reflecting their own role, thinking, behavior, and to learn about other cultures. And in these questions, to give you a very easy example, but only one because the time is running out, is, for example, a yes, if you, how you say in English, if you, with your head, you show confirmation, yeah, the head goes up and down, and if you don't, it goes from left to right. This is not the same thing in every culture. And this is one question, for example. But we have a lot of questions for religion, culture, and so on, to see, do the young people take time, do they know anything about these things, and we're sending out an important signal.
Great.
Also.
One question from Hassan Saba asks how many of your trainees are actually integrating into the public service in Copenhagen?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
The question was more for Stefan. The question from Hassan Saba was how many of the trainees are actually entering employment with the city?
Oh, thank you. This is a very, I'm very thankful for this question. I would like to point out that this is a special situation. We are doing a lot of selection procedures and looking for our trainees. They have to assess a lot of skills, show that they have these skills. Everyone who runs through this training program, who successfully finishes the training program, will step into employment. So, and into there is no limit for this employment. So the border is a main border, so to speak, is do we employ someone for this training program? Because if we say yes and the person successfully finishes, he or she will be our employee afterwards.
Very good. We're getting to the end of our session. We're just going to try to take one or two more questions. Madhu Babu Vakiti asks that noting that there is a lot of discrimination for migrants, he wonders how you train them for political leadership as another model for increasing both inclusion and levels of diversity in your city. Hamburg and Copenhagen have programs that help prepare the diversity in their populations for political leadership. And maybe we'll start with you, Anna May.
I actually don't understand the question because we don't have special programs for our politicians about diversity. So maybe I've not made myself clear enough, because I'm sorry if I said it, but we don't have a program for the politicians.
And for promoting immigrants to become involved, to participate in?
Oh, just in the normal process? Yes. We have actually, because we have seen that our immigrants, our minorities have not the same participation rate as the non-immigrant citizens. We have actually now started a project with our expert panel that they are going to focus on how we can be better to make sure that our immigrants are participating in the democracy, because we need them, we want them to, we need them and we want them to participate and to take, to participate. So we have actually now a project, so maybe next year I can tell you more about the results.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm afraid that our time has run out, and so I'm going to, we will certainly be sharing this webinar with all of our guests online, and we will, I think, bundle some of the unanswered questions together, and hopefully we'll be able to have some of those answered for you in our next newsletter. But we are now at the end of the Q&A, so I would like to close by thanking our audience for their wonderful questions, and to turn again to our presenters with and to close with a couple of short questions. We'd like to ask you, we believe at Cities of Migration that good ideas travel, that these ideas can be shared from city to city, that it's important to bring ideas and stakeholders together across borders and across regions to make sure that the best integration and inclusion work goes forward. So we'd like to ask you in Copenhagen, Anna May, how have good ideas traveled in your city? Are there other cities taking on the diversity charter, for example?
We have actually been very much inspired from other cities. We are in the ECC network, Intercultural Cities Network, so we are learning a lot from London, from Oslo, from Amsterdam, and from Berlin, Hamburg. We're looking into other cities, and of course we hope that they have been looking into our program as well. But I think that it is very important for us to look in Europe and look in the States to see how they're working with it.
Great. And has there been just one secret to your success, one point that you think is the most important?
I think it's very important that we have insisted on that this was not only my employees that were going to work with this. The whole municipalities and in all our services, it is very important that we all are working with diversity and that we all are working with the intercultural element. But we are not there yet. But we have started a wave, I think.
Wonderful. And Stefan, we'd like to ask you too your comment on the idea that good ideas travel. Is your work, your We Are Hamburg campaign, traveling to other cities, or what other cities have inspired you?
Yes, we have. Thank you for this question. We have a lot of networking, we take part in a lot of conferences, congresses. We have a very good, close cooperation with some other cities in Germany, which do have other campaigns going in this direction. And this topic of our campaign is a very big topic, very important topic in the whole of Germany, and we have a lot of activities between the federal states of Germany, for example, Berlin and Munich, but also other towns.
And you've been very successful. What would you say was the one, very short now, what is the one most important secret to your success?
Yeah, it's difficult to find out what is the most successful. I would say it's a lot of factors, but I would like to point out that our cooperation inside Hamburg on our campaign with the migrant organizations and also with the schools and other ministries in Hamburg is very important. So this is a crucial element. And I would like to point out one aspect more, is our young people that we employ who themselves have a migrant background, to take them on the events, to go together and to show that this is important is for us very successful.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you all. Our time has run out. We will send the unanswered questions to our presenters. For now, I'd like, on behalf of all of our participants, I'd like to thank Anna May Alisev in Copenhagen and Stefan Muller in Hamburg. I would like to especially thank Nazia Hussain for the tremendous work that she's doing with the At Home in Europe project and for joining us today. I know we look forward to seeing more of that work here at Cities of Migration under the theme title, Living Together.